16 days after the launch of Tekken 8 Season 2, the emergency patch is finally live, and we have patch notes to go through. What I want to do in this video is give you kind of the vibes, go through the changes, and then at the end, I'll summarize everything, and we'll have some visual aids, but I don't want to rip off all the hard work that the community has done to record like examples and labbing and things like that. So I'll be redirecting you to the YouTube channels of people and the streams of people who are doing a lot of the labbing and testing. I think that they deserve a lot more attention for testing all these changes. Okay, here's the vibe. Maximilian Dude came in after we finished reading the patch notes. This isn't it. In fact, it was impossible for this to be it. But it's the start of what could be the most healing Tekken has gone through in a single season in a really long time, in my opinion, says Maximilian Dude, not VDX. This is a good summary. It's probably impossible for them to put out every single necessary change in 2 weeks. But they've shown that they're doing things in a correct direction. I will share my opinions on whether I think it's enough towards the end. I think it's a good time now to just get started, okay? So, first things first, the update, by the time you watch this video, the update's live, right? They've released the patch notes and the updates is already live. You can already play on it. They started with system changes. They recapped their philosophy, which we talked about in the previous video. So let's just talk about the system changes here. I'll open this up, but you don't feel obligated to read this because I have the notes below here. Health is now 200. It was at 180 prior. So let me add that little note here. Health, 180 to 200. This was designed to just increase the amount of interactions, especially as combo damage is going up. Rage still triggers at 23.5%, meaning it now triggers at 47 HP instead of 43 HP. 4 HP might not seem like a big difference. This will have to be more evident as we play the game further. We have no clue if this is a big enough change, if it's a nothing burger change, or if it's a very drastic change. We'll have to see. This is the patch that removes throw chip damage. It was shipped with Season 2. They said they were going to take it out, and this is the patch where it comes out. Big change here. Heat Engage is down to +9. It was +17. Now, you may think this is not a big difference. It actually is. It enables parries in situations where previously you didn't even have time to parry at +17. If a low, for example, came out in 16 or 17 frames, it was unlow parryable, right? So low parries and regular parries. It also creates sidewalk opportunities against certain running moves, like if Steve does running 2 after a Heat Engage. Heat Dash now has reduced combo scaling, again, to address how quickly people are dying. And the chip damage of Heat Dash is down to 2, whereas it used to be 7. Okay? Chip damage is overall overhauled. Moves that do not normally chip and gain chipping during heat gain or do 20% chip. It used to do 25%. Moves that already chip don't gain any bonus when you're in heat. And then for various moves that change properties in heat, they just said they rebalanced it. It was kind of vague. They left it to the character specific changes. Key Charge has been further nerfed. They did not restore the counter hit property like many people wanted. Instead, they reduced the 150% bonus damage down to 110%. I said it in my previous criticism that I think this does not affect the top level of gameplay pretty much at all. Arslan Ash has said before that he never uses Key Charge, so it doesn't bother him. I think this is a shame for the fun mid-level. You go to a local, somebody gets to try out a fun setup for once, and you get to talk about it. I think this kind of spice removal for 10% damage is really sad, and I hope it's reconsidered to be changed again later. And then this is a big one. Wall Stagger is removed on all moves that are +10 or more on block. If you played in the Tekken 7 days, this is called New Tactics. It's where the opponent bumps into the wall and goes into crouch. Now, they've removed that animation for anything that was over +10. And then there was a throw break that needed to be bugged. There was a throw break bug. I never experienced it, but they fixed that. Okay. Let's get to the character specific changes. Again, if you want to skip to the summary of my overall impressions, the pros and cons, jump to the timestamp below. But we'll go through the changes specifically. Anna Williams, tons of bug fixes. Big nerfs to her projectile, which is a big one. It no longer wall splats, it doesn't hit to her side or rear, and it no longer does wall stun. They've also nerfed the chip damage on her debuff. It's called Fragile or Weakened. I'm going to share some content from High Buff Gigas Please. This guy is an amazing content creator. He saves footage of previous versions and demonstrates it to compare with the newest version, okay? So I'm going to start this video over, and please support his content. I'm only going to show this one. if you want to see the other comparisons, his YouTube and Twitter are great for that. So this is the chip damage Ana used to do in the old patch. And you could see the wall stun where Nina is wall splatted and then like falls to her knees, right? You'll see that animation no longer happens. Nina is still standing. There was a wall crush there, which was interesting, but the chip damage is lower. So this is the total chip damage at the end of that sequence before the patch. And then after the patch, the total health is here. So roughly halved. It still does a little more than half, but it's much less, okay? What's interesting is there's still a wall crush on this hit, right? That's the wall stun mechanic they talked about. It's removed from the other projectiles, but it still happens on this one. So it still exists. It's just its frequency is much less. They fixed some bugs where people were heat dashing on whiff, some power crush bugs. They didn't remove the Easter egg for Ana's backhanded slap. If you remember, Twitter was blowing up, and I did a video on this, where Ana could steal moves from the other character, and the other character could steal moves from Ana. So they found a way to fix the bug without removing that interaction. And truthfully, I had very low expectations. I thought that they would just take away that interaction, but they kept it and just removed the bugs. I'm very, very surprised that happened. Last thing, Pleasure Time 4 now forces stand forward. A bunch of characters have this patch note adjustment where it says change the opponent's behavior on hit to make them stand up facing forward. I believe this is due to the new auto back roll change. Some people began finding setups where you could catch someone's back with the forced auto back roll, and they clearly did not want that to be a thing. So this isn't the exact change, but this is my guess of what they're removing. You can see here that after this wall splat, Law does a dragon hammer, and Steve wakes up backwards like this. So the back hits are guaranteed. My understanding of these changes is that they are all likely implemented to prevent this guaranteed combo from happening, right? If you don't know, in the last patch, they introduced automatic back rolling in certain spike situations, and people found ways to abuse that system. Rather than restoring the old manual back roll behavior, they've just adjusted the moves themselves. It's kind of heavy-handed. I understand it's because it's on a small timeline. I would have preferred, personally, that they turned off auto back roll. I think that's a crazy change. It should have been something that stayed manual. I digress. Asuka, small changes, no more wall stagger on some of her moves. Everything else remains unchanged. Brian, they nerfed full crouch down forward 3 with Snake Eyes, Neo Grim Reaper. It no longer counter hit wall splats. It's minus 13 on block, and it takes more heat. The rest of his moves pretty much stay the same, except for the wall stagger moves. Claudio, also no more wall stagger. So you'll see that some changes are big if they thought it was a big deal. Other changes, they kind of cruise right by. Clive, they nerfed forward 1+2, which was his counter hit attack throw. The damage is down from 60 to 50. I don't think that's a big deal. It's now +3 on block instead of +4. I don't think that's enough. I think a move that is that strong should be safe, but minus. And the chip damage is down from 6 to 2. They've removed his Heat Smash wall stagger and did a bug fix with his jab. Devil Jin, only thing they changed is no wall stagger when he charges up down back 1+2, the big Chidori move. Again, content creators are labbing this. Hide Tone, it demonstrates these changes here. So that's Asuka's running 1+2. You'll see that there's no wall stagger. Kazuya is still standing. And when Devil Jin does it, you could see also that there's no wall stagger. Okay, that's all the change is. The frame data still stays the same. You just get the ability, I believe, to rage art and do standing moves. Because sidestep is now available to both directions. Dragunov was not in the patch notes at all, which is shocking to me. He keeps his 12-frame heat dash launcher. I hope that's looked at in the mid-May patch coming up. Eddie, tons of wall stagger removed. Unintended combo off of up forward 3+4 is removed. He used to teleport at round start. It was a bug reported by Edge. It was literally that. He like forward dashed and teleported. So anyways. And then down 3 now forces stand forward. I believe this is the same change that we saw with Ana, referring to that law change where it stops the automatic back roll. Feng Wei, no wall stagger on these 3 moves. Not many major changes. I hope they look at his back 4 extension. I think that's really overpowered. Heihachi CD3, no wall stagger. Hwoarang, down 3+4, now forces the stand forward. No mention of his homing low being adjusted. I hope they look at that in the next patch. Jack 8, make some noise, is down from +8 to +5 on block. damage is down by 10, and chip damage is down by 8. This is a great start. Additionally, it is now you're now able to act 5 frames sooner. There was an unintended bug where you were kind of stuck, so you couldn't interrupt it. I still believe this move is pretty strong, but look at Hidetone's testing here. After 2-1, he does a wrong input. 2-1, make some noise, you can sidestep. You not only can interrupt it, you can now sidestep it, right? So this is a big change. I think the move is still pretty crazy coming off of a 10-frame string, but the clear counterplay is nice, undoubtedly. They've also fixed the practice mode bug where Jack could do infinite stomps with up, forward, 3 and heat. Well, as long as he had heat gauge, right? Jin Kazama, tons of nerfs. We love seeing the down arrow. I would love to see more down arrows for every character. Yes, Lee mains. That includes Lee. Every character being nerfed more. Now, I think reliability should be fixed if we're being serious about Lee. I think the fact that some of his combos don't work anymore is pretty bad. But in general, every character is pretty strong in this version of the game. So that's my honest opinion. Jin, running 3, plus 12 to plus 6 on block. This is huge. Huge change. Plus 12 was way too much. Zen 2, damage down by 5. Zen 4, no more spike for the huge combo damage. He loses his wall stagger on heat smash. And Zen 3 plus 4, this is also very big. And then finally, his down forward 2-4, there was a bug where you couldn't punish it properly. So they fixed that. Let's again check out Tony's labbing. After running 3, you can now sidestep. So there's the homing high, right? That's still his option to beat that. But the main options are steppable. From what I understand in testing, though, the low from stance realigns. The quick Zenshin 1+2. So Tony, if it's not clear, is piloting Kazuya on the left and inputting sidestep. Or he's piloting Jin and the bot is sidestepping automatically. New labbing mechanics available. Jun Kazama. I was very vocal about not liking Jun's changes. I thought she was a strong counter hit character with parries and insanely strong pokes. And the fact that she struggled to break standing block is a good design choice. They kind of threw away that design choice when they gave her heat smash low available multiple times during heat. And they gave her the homing mid with so much frame advantage, you had to guess a mix-up after. So if you watch my raw reaction on the FeedX Unhinged channel, you'll know that I crashed out when they said Miyare 1+2 went from +6 to +4. I thought that wasn't enough. With some labbing, again, thanks to Tony, we'll see that there's a bit more counterplay now. I'll comment more on this later, but let's go through the changes. When she goes into Izumo stance, I believe, off 1-2-2, up 2, and forward 3-2, the advantage on block is no longer +6, it's +4. This is designed intentionally to allow more sidestepping, I believe. They mention it directly here during Izumo, but not directly in... during Miyare, but not directly in Izumo. No, I'm sorry, they mentioned it in Izumo. Okay, it is directly mentioned, the intention here. The hitbox on Izumo 3 is adjusted, so it's easier to sidestep. Her sweep from Izumo has 1 less active frame and less tracking. So they wanted you to be able to sidestep her more. And then the hurt box for Izumo 4 is also expanded, so it's easier to punish. Okay, let's talk really quickly about their little spiel here. This is what they acknowledge as Jun's excessive strength from Izumo stance. Startup of the sweep was sped up, making it impossible to block on reaction. I am very surprised people were reacting to it in the first place, to be honest. I don't think people were reacting to this. I don't know who this nerf is designed to target. Maybe Arslan Ash was doing it. Anyways, they made it easier to sidestep. The mid attack, Izumo 3, already had moderate tracking, and with only a few options, Jun players could basically spam that with little risk. And then the new move, the homing mid from Miyare, it enabled her to force Izumo's offense with little counterplay. So they acknowledge that it's too strong. I don't think these changes are enough. However, let's look at the available counterplay as labbed again by Hidetone. So Jun is going to do Miyare 1+2, and the sweep loses to sidestep right. Right? That's pretty big. That's a plain sidestep right, not a sidewalk, not a sidestep block, just a clean sidestep right. Also dodges the mid. So this is a huge step in the right direction. I still think conceptually, it's pretty weird that a character gets plus frames after a homing move. Usually going into stance is, in Tekken, has been punishable if you don't do it with advantage, like off of a hit or something. However, the fact that there is counterplay at all is a win. even compared to, like, I would say season 1 standards, giving a bit more counterplay to the stances where the same sidestep beats a mid and a low is pretty nice, right? It's pretty nice that they're not having this complete coverage situation. Kazuya, down forward 3-2-1. All they changed was that it no longer wall staggers. All right, when he charged up the move, it wall staggered. It doesn't anymore. Cool. King, 3-2-2. Directly adjusted, as this was acknowledged as one of the most overpowered moves added. Pro players have been tweeting about it. I think Knee did. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Knee was tweeting about 3-2-2 over and over again. The second hit is no longer a natural combo if the first hit connects. Third hitbox is reduced so that it doesn't hit grounded as much. For the charged version, they've reduced the tracking on the third hit and did the same hitbox size reduction. For Jaguar Sprint 3, the fully powered up version, there's no more wall stagger. His heat engage had a healing issue when he did the flex into the right hand punch. So they fixed that so he heals more as intended. And then there was an input bug with his Jaguar step where if you went backwards, the inputs would flip. King player Jasandi was complaining about this on Twitter, thinking it was a muscle memory issue. Apparently it was a game issue, so not your fault if you've been messing it up. Feel free to accept this evasion of responsibility. Kuma, no more wall stagger on charge moves and heat smash, while standing 1-2 specifically. Hunting Bear stance 3+4 has fixed heat dash behavior. It wasn't working as intended. UCF 2-1 used to be able to heat dash on whiff. That was a weird bug for season 2. All right, and then they fixed a bug where his heat smash would reset combo and damage scaling. That was insane. Good thing they fixed that. And then Panda's heat throw, you can act 1 frame sooner. Not really much. Lars, damage is down on dynamic entry 2 by 2 damage. Silent entry 4, damage is down by 4. These are his main combo tools, so I think that's the point. I don't think these damage nerfs really matter that much, but they are something. Down back 2-3 hold, no more wall stagger. Limited entry 1 goes from +26 to +4. This is a step in the right direction. How did this make it to live servers? I clicked away. Hold on. Really look at this. How did +26 make it to the live servers? Good change. Why was it there? Bug fix. A bunch of his stances were supposed to restore heat, and they weren't. Now they do. Down forward 3 down had a bug where if you plinked the 2-1+2 or like did a Kara cancel, you could launch and combo off of down forward 3. They took that out. That was a bug. All right. Law. All they did was take out his wall stagger. He could still basically have infinite heat if he hits his nunchucks. A big change I hope they address in the mid-May patch. Lee Chaolan. Everybody remain calm. Okay? We had a scheduled venting session for Lee on the second channel and live. That now is not the time, okay? I do appreciate the engagement in the comments, but keep it down. You don't have to be as loud as the character. They fix an issue where heat dash could be triggered on whiff. I do hope in the mid-May patch they fix Lee's combo inconsistency. I think that's a huge issue. In terms of the evasion, I think the reduction in evasion is a bit more fair. In my opinion, Lee should be rewarded for sharp counter hit placement and choosing his spots correctly and making good reads, not just throwing out the button that evades stuff. Okay. Leo. Bach 3, no more wall stagger. Nice, that's the homing jumping high. I know not many people know Leo's moves. And then lightning glare, 2-4-2-4-3. Heat consumption has been increased, but this is to be in alignment with using the same move from a different stance. When returning to standing, the heat timer was reduced by 240 frames. And when you transition to the stance, it didn't take as much. So this is like a nerf, but it's for consistency's sake. Leo still has their really, really strong low from Buck, though. So again, hope they address that later. Lydia's 1+2 charge, no longer wall staggers, and Horse 3+4, no longer wall staggers. Lily up 1+2, no longer wall staggers. Nina's back 2. They kept the slap reversal. Again, very impressed, I think, that they didn't just remove the reversal interaction altogether. They fixed the bug. That's pretty cool. Paul Phoenix, the war criminal. During heat, charge, and various other moves, no more wall stagger. Okay. Forward 2, down forward, there was a bug where if you went into deep dive, it didn't heal as much. Gray health. And then the unblockable bug that was running rampant for 2 weeks, where he could Hammer of the Gods you and hit you for free, has been taken out. He still has his homing, normal hit launching high from deep dive. I think that's important to note. Hope that's addressed in the mid-May patch. Reyna, during heat, 344. Adjusted issues where it would whiff near walls. That's good. And then heat down to 1+2, where she does the elbow and then the lightning that like blows up your screen with particle effects. Reduced combo damage that was unintended. It was higher than intended. They fixed that. Shaheen, sneak down forward 1-3. There was a heat dash whiff bug. A few characters had that. That is now fixed. And Shaheen down 1 now forces stand forward again to probably fix that auto back roll change that we showed earlier. Steve had no changes. I hope the mid-May patch touches Steve. Xiaoyu, no more wall stagger on all these moves. Yoshimitsu, no more wall stagger. Zafina back 1+2. Again, the auto back roll fix. Those are the character specific changes. Thank you for sticking around this long if you have. Real quick, guys, before we get to the summary, I need to make a quick correction. I think I was mistaken on the moves that force the opponent to face forward. For example, Hwoarang down 3+4. I think what the change is on counter hit, say it says +32 here, it realigns the opponent to face forward, right? I imagine in testing, they found situations where you could get off axis, get that +32, and then convert that into, say, a launcher or something, specifically off axis. So I imagine that's a bug fix for this. It specifically occurs with a lot of the new moves they added with insane frame advantage. So it talked about Hwoarang down 3+4. It also talks about Shaheen down 1. So Shaheen down 1 on counter hit, key charge doesn't affect it. But see how it's +28? I think what the patch did is this +28 can only occur straight forward instead of on the side and guaranteeing, like, say, a hop kick or something. Anyways, I believe that's the fix for that. Now, enjoy the summary of the patch notes. If you jumped here by the timestamp, at least leave an emoji or, like, say timestamp in the comments, man. This took a lot of work. Pros and cons of the patch and overall takeaways. We saw a bunch of these labbing situations. They'll be timestamped. I recommend checking them out. I think they're really cool. Less frame advantage equals more counterplay. This is a good thing, of course, right? I don't think anybody would debate this. The Izumo nerf is really awesome. Conceptually, in my head, as an old school Tekken player, I think it's pretty crazy that the move was plus in the first place. Being homing and plus feels wrong. The fact that you pick a high coverage move that's a mid and get rewarded after is wild to me. That said, the fact that there's a reliable sidestep right against the stance offense is nice. It will make June second guess doing that option. Okay, so decent, not perfect. Less chip damage. I think most people would agree with liking that. Removed wall stagger for moves, for any move that's over +10 on block. This is obviously good because more counterplay when you're not forced into the crouching position by the wall stun is what we were looking for, having more counterplay in general. Tony says the frame data hasn't changed. The frame data has changed, but I would ideally like to see still less oppressive situations. I think +17 is still crazy, and situations like this where you're... Oh, Asuka's +4 at the wall, right? So not +10. This is good. In Naniwa Gusto, she's +11. Okay, so it depends on whether she has the buff or not. I think +11 is still pretty strong. I would like to see things adjusted there, but step in the right direction to give more counterplay. Heat engage going from +17 to +9 is probably the best change we have seen in this entire patch, right? Including the bug fixes and the remove wall stagger and the frames. Just, we will see more situations now off of heat engage outside of just heat engage, do the running move, do the mix-up, right? There's going to be more variations as players experiment with sidestepping, parrying, rage arting, stuff like that. And then the bug fixes are a big win. Again, I'm really surprised they didn't remove Anna's slapping Easter egg thing. I thought they would just delete it to fix the bugs, but they actually fixed the root issue, hopefully. So, all right, now for the cons. The things that I think are still outstanding issues that need to be fixed, things that are not enough, etc. So let's start with some other people's tweets. I don't want to just soapbox. I want to highlight other people in the community who have expressed opinions that I agree with. Okay, so removing wall staggers and heat engages being +9 are awesome changes. Yep, 200 overall health buff is necessary if T8 forces interaction that much. I also think combo length should probably go down. I didn't write that down. However, the game is going to feel around the same until they nerf combo damage, praying for movement buffs and nerfs to homing moves. Yes, I agree. The game is probably going to feel the same. Basically, my analogy is that Season 1 was a casino, but we were playing like blackjack and poker. Right, card games where you can manipulate risk, reward, and odds in your favor. Now, Season 2 on release felt like slot machines, right? Where you really are guessing a lot. There's a bit more counterplay now, to be fair, but ultimately, as long as these oppressive homing moves exist in neutral and these strong mix-ups exist, we're basically playing the slot machines, and the health buff just means we have a bigger wallet. And every loss costs a little less because Lars does a bit less damage now. That's my take on the overall change. Matthias YM says, this summarizes the whole patch. I feel disappointed even with low expectations. 2 frames don't change the fact that this type of move should not give any reward on block at all. Bears still have the wall combo. Brian's new hatchet is still wrong. Minus 13 is laughable. Right, so he's saying June's homing move should not be +4. And initially, I agreed heavily. But once we saw Tony lab it a bit, you could see that there is counterplay, right? Sidestep right covers most of the options. I think that's a huge deal. I think that this should not be neglected in the analysis of this. So as much as I agree that I think plus frames on a homing move is crazy conceptually from a Tekken standpoint, they've intentionally given us more counterplay. Same thing with make some noise, right? Okay. Let's go through the cons in an actual list instead of summarizing like that. The homing moves that prevent sidestepping in neutral are still a problem. Anna's forward 2 is a good example. Giant rocket launcher from like full screen. I'm exaggerating. It's like range 3, range 4. 4 backdashes away. Very, very long range. Even though it's duckable, it reduces the amount of depth in neutral. Plus frame homing moves are really OP, even if there's no free mix-up after. I think the idea that you do a mid move, so it can't be ducked, that is homing, so it can't be stepped, should ideally give up your turn, right? But it's plus frames. If it gives you plus frames, then you're incentivized to continue your attack. So sidestep counterplay is good. Having any kind of advantage is weird to me. Characters still have moves that cover their weaknesses. Hwoarang is the number one example I can think of. Obviously, there's still Kazuya with the homing mid that's safe. Hwoarang's move in particular is a homing low that evades highs, right? So his key weaknesses where it's getting jabbed out of his approach, getting sidewalked out of his approach, or getting his lows called out because they were higher risk. They added a move that covers all those weaknesses. I disagree with that. Same thing with June getting better stance offense. Same thing with Steve getting better stance offense. I think that characters are losing their identity because their weaknesses are being covered up. In alignment with that, most characters are still stance and mix-up focused. And here, I want to highlight a tweet from Ty. So, Michael Murray tweeted, here are the patch notes. This is just the first step in many changes to correct the balance of the game. Sincere apologies and thank you for your patience as we deal with these issues. I will continue monitoring your community posts for constructive feedback. And I like Ty's tweets here a lot. My thanks to the team for listening to our feedback. In future patches, it would be great to see changes to characters like Brian and Steve to help restore their identity, expression, and fun. Currently, Brian's strong offense and Steve's over-reliance on Lionheart make them feel a bit dull. Many characters feel too similar due to the game system and how characters were altered to function in it. I think now that the team is focused on adjusting things like Heat and Chip, it'd be great to look back on what made these characters unique and so fun in past games. Brian is a defensive counter-hit character. Steve is a more fast-paced boxer with high reward fast counter hits. Brian cashes out more like with big hits. He gets like plus frames and builds advantage that way and plays with timing. Steve controls a lot of the small Tekken and forces you to play small with him. So I agree with this heavily. I would like to see more characters lean into their roots. Brian doesn't need his new full crouch mix. Steve doesn't need Lionheart stance forced to gain damage. There are characters that are really, really cool because they didn't function like every other character, right? Just offense plus frame stance, offense plus frame stance. I mentioned this when I made the casino analogy. Damage nerfs mean we get more interactions, but the interactions are still less deep unless they buff movement, remove the homing moves, and allow characters to have their key weaknesses. The auto back roll is still in the game. I don't like this change. I don't like that they did a blanket fix on moves to just remove, to force them facing forward to avoid the back roll catch. If you, for some reason, don't remember, this is an example. Law does Dragon Hammer, and it forces the back roll here. Steve animation here, you used to have to hold back. Now it's mandatory. And notably in the patch notes, Laws wasn't adjusted, so maybe this exploit still exists. And then my final critique is that I think that combo length should go down. When I talk about combo length going down, I don't mean expression or skill or difficulty. I'm talking about the duration of time, okay? Look at this clip. This is a tweet from Merlin. In the top, he has a Lydia combo. On the bottom, he has Tekken 6 combos. First, look at the Lydia combo. 3-2 into stance. Okay, tornado. Strong aerial tailspin into heat activation. Wall splat. Attack throw animation into wall splat again into rage art. Okay, so I was just staring at the Lidio combo that whole time. She's doing the rage art. And the total combo duration is about to be around 29 seconds before you can get back to the game. 27 seconds, okay? Now let's look at the main screen. Look at what these characters are doing. Hwoarang does skyrocket, little filler, bound, filler into wall again, and then wall combo. Now Law does down forward 2, wall splat, bound, wall combo. Deviljin, electric, filler, bound, and then ender. And then Bruce, counter hit launch, filler. He's going to carry the wall. This is a long wall carry option as well. And by the time those, 4 combos have finished, Lydia finishes her combo. Now, this is just one gripe I have with the combo system. Truthfully, the biggest changes I would like to the combo system are more decision making. What do I mean by that? In the past Tekkens, what combos used to do were dependent on your goals off of winning that interaction. Usually, you could do an Okazemi combo ender, where you give up some damage to get a more advantageous situation after, like a guaranteed mix-up. You could do a damage ender, where you cash out and try to do as much damage as possible, but because of the frames, your opponent gets a free wake-up and gets to take their turn back. Or there was the third option, which is wall carry, where you generally sacrifice damage or have to do a very high execution combo in order to get to the wall. Currently, in Tekken 8, all 3 of these are accomplished by the same combo, with a few exceptions. There are a few situations where your wall carry is unique. There's a few situations where your damage is higher. But due to flip over Oki, due to spike combos, a lot of these combos are homogenized. That's part of the reason that the combo game is even less interesting, right? I know a lot of people disagree with me on this point. I do think combos can be fun on the one-player side. I was a Marth player in Melee. I used to chain grab people. That was very much a one-player game. But I think that Tekken has swung too far in the other direction with Tekken 8. For a combo to literally be 27 seconds, a round is 60 seconds, you guys. A round is 60 seconds. And it could be alleviated by even just less animations, right? Like the zoom in on heat burst every single time. The attack throw animations where the character strikes a pose right here. Or Deviljin does Heaven's Gate and you hang in the air for a really long time and then come down. There are places where this can be smoothened, right? I think, truthfully, if you look at the combo damage being dealt in these games, they're still pretty high. I know that most of the life bar is obscured, but the combo damage in these old games is still pretty high. I don't mind high combo damage. It's the length of time your controller is unplugged from the game. Okay? That's my soapbox. The emergency patch is here. This isn't it. In fact, it was impossible for this to be it. But it's the start of what could be the most healing Tekken has gone through in a single season in a really long time. I was really upset with these changes when I first read them. Took some time to calm down, write out these pros and cons. I feel better about it now. I will be attempting to play the game again. I will be attempting to commentate the game because my goal is to be authentic, right? Like, I didn't want to commentate or analyze if I genuinely didn't believe in interesting interactions happening in this game. So that was my hesitation with playing the game, with grinding the game, and making content. We're going to give it another shot. I don't think this is going to be perfect. I think it's going to take multiple patches to get where we want to be. But yeah, this is a step in the right direction, no matter how small that step is. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and a comment if you did. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.